Hello everybody, my name is Kim Pollishuke. I am a digital literacy consultant and I am excited for this segment of EdTech Camp on Air. Let's get started. We are going to look at storytelling with Google Sites, and you can do so much more with sites than just building a website. We'll look at how you can use it for storytelling. I have a short story here that I have not written. I got it online by somebody named Jonathan London. It's called The Waterfall. And we will use this as the text for our story, just so I don't have to spend any time writing. So to begin, we're going to create our Google site. New, More, and Google Sites. Our story is called The Waterfall. And we'll just call this The Waterfall as well. So I should say this is not a beginner session on how to create a Google site, so I'm not going to go into too much detail about all the different elements of Google Sites. I'm going to assume that people have used Google Sites at least a little bit before, but I will include a tutorial for how to create a Google site if you've never done it before. Let's get some text to add to our story. So let's say I'll take this little bit. We will double click and add some text. Of course, I could have gone up here and pressed text as well. And let's paste it right over there. Make it like this. Now, it was the middle of July when we drove way up into the mountains and backpacked up a creek. I would love to be able to get a picture of mountains or backpacking, something like that. But I don't want just a regular picture. I want this story to be interactive. So I'm going to go over to Google Maps. And I'm going to search for, let's say, the Rocky Mountains. Sure. Maybe I should get a little more specific. What if I looked at Banff, Canmore? Canmore, Alberta has some gorgeous mountains. I clicked on the little peg man in the bottom right hand corner. That brings me into Street View. All these blue dots are photos that individuals have added to Street View, and the blue lines, if I go a little bit closer, these blue lines are photos that the Google car has added. I'm just going to pick one of them. Let's try over here. Is this going to work? Let's see. Cross our fingers. Beautiful. So this is a great picture of mountains. There's even some people hiking. Oh, I lucked out. Okay, so I'm going to take this picture right here, and I want to embed this 360-degree photo as an interactive picture in our story. So I'll click on the three dots, Share or Embed Image, Embed a Map, and this is the embed code that we'll need in order to get it into our site. There are different sizes of images that you can choose, but I find that medium is the biggest you can go and not have any lag. Copy that HTML, go back to the site, and double click, and then select Embed. Again, I also could have gone up here and selected Embed. I don't want by URL though. By embed code, just paste in the code that we just copied, click Next, Insert, and there it is. I'm going to center it. Maybe I'm going to center my text as well. And I can make this a little bit prettier in the background. Maybe I make this text subheading so it's a little bigger. I can center the text. There we go. So here's the waterfall. It was the middle of July when we drove way up into the mountains and backpacked up a creek. Now, how is this interactive? Can't really do anything with it right now. But after I publish it, I will be able to spin this picture around. I'll show you a preview of that. I'll click on the eyeball. There's my title, which is kind of boring right now, but I can make it pretty later. And as I scroll down, I see my text, and here's that picture. And as I said, I can now interact with my story and change this picture. All right, so we have some text in our story. We have a 360-degree interactive photo embedded in our story. What is next? Let's get some sound into our story. Why don't we get some audio in there? So let's go back. Let's get another page. Let's add another page to our story, page 2. page 2. Great. All right, page 2, let's get some more text. The banks were lined with poison oak. Let's put in some text right here. We'll do the same thing we did last time. We'll make it, whoops, subheading and centered, and we'll put some emphasis behind it. Great. Oops. All right, so the banks were lined with poison oak, so we waded through the cold water, hip deep for my parents, chest deep for us, and our backpacks balanced on our heads. I am going to create a sound file of this recording. I'm going to go to a website that's online-voice-recorder.com. This is another recording I did. I'm going to record the words that I just said. All I have to do is click record. Go back over here. The banks were lined with poison oak, so we waded through the cold water, hip deep for my parents, chest deep for us. Our backpacks balance on our head. Let's pretend I said that properly. Now, obviously, I said some stuff at the beginning that I don't want in my sound recording. So with this program, I can trim the ends and trim the end to about there. Let's listen to it. Balance on our head. Oops. The banks were lined with poison oak, so we waded through the cold water, hip deep for my parents, chest deep for us. Our backpacks balance on our head. Okay, so I said a few things wrong. I'd have to re-record it, but for now it's fine. I'm going to save that file. What do I do now? How do I get it into my website? I'm going to drag that file straight into Google Drive. Let it upload. It's uploaded. Now I'm going to open it. The banks were lined with... Hear it again. Click on the 3 Timbits and then share. I have to do 2 things right now. I have to get the shareable link. The reason I have to do that is so anybody who reads my story will be able to hear this file. So even though they may have access to the website, they need to also have access to the embedded documents and files within it. So I have to make this shareable with the link. I'm going to copy this URL, go back to my website, insert, embed by URL. So I pasted the URL that I just copied. Insert. And I now have a sound file. So if I go and play this page, the banks were lined with poison oak, so we waded through the cold water. But now I have some audio. Pretty cool, right? I don't just want some audio, I want some video here. Now I don't really have anything to film for you other than myself, so we're going to do something pretty meta right now just to give you a sense of what I'm talking about. If I wanted, hi everybody, there I am. I'm here and I bet you I'm down there as well. I don't know if I pointed to the right direction. This is very meta. I am filming my screencast of myself, screencasting myself. I don't know. Anyways, I'm going to use this same website that gave my video voice recording, my video recording. And I'm just going to take myself doing this. Let's pretend that that was something a little bit more appropriate for the story. Wonderful. Save it. And now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go back into my drive. I'm done on this one. Import that video right into my drive. And here's my video. Now, if this was a longer video, it would probably take a lot longer to process. This is probably going to be able to process in about, I don't know, 30 seconds. So I'm going to leave it there, stall for a little bit, and come back to the website. While we are stalling, let's make something nice over here. So let's say page 2. Let's say we want to change this header type. Let's say we want to do title only. That sounds good. If I want to go back to my home page and the waterfall, let's get an image. Let's change the image. I could upload an image or I could select an image. I'm going to search Google and I'm going to look for waterfalls. The nice thing about searching in here is you're always going to get responsibly used images or responsibly sourced images. So I'm looking for one that's kind of rectangular, so it sort of takes the shape of the title right now, and I'm seeing here, how about that? I'll select that and it's going to go behind my title. And you see these stars right here? That's adjusting the title for readability, which means I can take that away. The title itself will be harder to see, but the image will be clearer. I can click it again, and now the letters will be easier to see, and the waterfall in the background will be a little bit harder to see. I actually don't like that image. I want to get a different one. Let's go back and get a different waterfall. I'm just stalling right now until that loads. Well, let's try this one instead. Oh, that's nicer. That's nicer. All right, good stuff. Before we upload that video, let's do a little bit more. We have all these themes on the right-hand side that we can change our color scheme and the style of the font. Not too much, but a little. Hopefully in the future we'll have more functionality there. So if I don't like this blue and I want to do maybe something more like a green, if I'm talking about the green grass around the waterfall, I can change, ooh, that's really bright. I change the color, and if I drag this little dot, that's better. There we go. So I've just changed the color scheme of the entire website story. I can also change the font style. 3 fonts, not too much, not too many options there. Sure, we'll go with that. All right, so at this point, I have prettied up the title, changed the theme and the color a bit. I've got an interactive photo on my first page. If I go to page 2 of our story, change the chapter title right there, and I can change this if I want. Leave this as page 2 over here, but this could be called The Journey Begins. I can change that to whatever I want. Let's get that video inserted. From Drive, let's try to go to recent because it will be one of our recent files. There it is, and it's all processed. So when I click on that and then insert, there's the video. Now, again, it's not going to play while I'm here, but if I click the preview, I now have, the banks were lined with poison oak, so we waded through the cold water, hip deep for my parents, chest deep for us, our backpacks to balance on our head. So imagine, if you will, that this was the text. I'm pointing with my finger like you can see my finger. That this is the text that students could read. This is the audio that could read it to them or that they could record. And this could be them acting out the scene. Or perhaps they found another thing, something else to film. Maybe they film people walking through the water and it's a little video that they want to embed. But it's important to note, just like this sound file, I had to make sure that it was viewable with the link. I also have to make sure that the sharing privileges of this video that are stored in my drive are also shared either with the people I intentionally share the story with, which we'll talk about in a little bit, or with the link. In order to do that, I go to my drive. There's the video. I could do this the long way, right-click and open up the share window like this, or, shortcut, make sure it's selected and press the period. When you press the period on a file that is selected, it brings up the share window automatically. So right over here, I get the shareable link, and now anybody who is looking at my story later on will be able to actually see that video. All right, let's go on to page 3. I'm going to insert page 3 and page 4. Because one thing that I used to love about stories when I was a kid are choose your own adventures. Who remembers those? I'm talking to you like you're actually answering me right now. I used to love Choose Your Own Adventures when I was a kid, and we can do that in our stories. So right here, I'm going to add in some more text, and I'm going to say, where do you want to go next in the story? And I will center that, and maybe I'll make it a title, and I'm going to emphasize it, and then right underneath, I'm going to insert a button. And this button is going to be into the falls. I want to go into the falls. And the link is going to be page 3. And another button. I want to continue hiking. And this link is going to be page 4. So here are my 2 buttons. I'm going to make them wider. So there's 1, 2, maybe I'll center them. It's not really centered. Let's try that. That's good enough. So now when I preview this, my story has become again interactive. I've got some sound to listen to, a video to watch, and now I get to choose, where do I want to go next? Do I want to go into the falls, or do I want to continue hiking? If I say I want to continue hiking, I click on that and it takes me to page 4. But if I want to go back and I want to go into the falls, go to page 3. So I've created a choose your own adventure. There are other ways you can create a choose your own adventure, or even just ways to navigate in your story. So before we created a button in order to bounce us from page to page, but you can also do this with an image. So let's go into images. Let's find now just a regular old picture of, let's see what comes next in our story. Let's take some of this. Let's cancel this. Let's put in some text here. We set up camp on a sandy flat beside a pool in a ring of boulders. What a swimming bowl. My brother and I swam, diving and tumbling in the diamond clear water. Ooh, clear water. Okay, so let's now search for a picture to propel us forward in the story. I'm going to search for an image of clear, search clear water. Oh, beautiful. Let's use this because I see mountains in the background. So here I have my image. Now let's create a page 5. Now you see how these are out of order? This is strange, but it really doesn't matter. But if I wanted to change the order, I can just drag them. Look carefully how I'm dragging them. I click and I drag, and I make sure only to let go when I see a straight blue line, not when I'm over with a box. If I leave it like that, it's going to nest itself under page 5, which I don't want. I want it in between, moving the order around. Great. So here I am on page 5. Let's go back to page 3. We click on the image that we just inserted. You can hyperlink this image to page 5. So if I clicked on that picture when I'm in my story, it would take me to page 5. And it's nice if you're writing a story to have to ask the reader to interact with it in order to move forward, as opposed to just having to click on the page navigation at the top. This way the story seems more interactive for the kids. If I wanted to actually take them out of the story and I wanted them to find some extra information about boulders, let's say I'm going to find some mountain boulders. Let's go for, here we go. I don't know. What's this? A project. Sure, here's a website. Okay, so if I wanted to link this picture instead of another page in the story, I could edit this, and instead I can delete that, paste in an external URL, click apply, and then instead of that picture taking us just to the next page in the story, when they click it, it will open up a new tab and they'll be directed to whatever site you wanted them to go to. I can also hyperlink text. So if I'm down here and I add in the next part of the story, copy, let's put in some more text right here. We hiked further upstream against Little Rapids. Ooh, let's say I want them to click on Little Rapids and I want that phrase to take them to another page in the story. I can hyperlink that and I can have that take them to the next page in the story. So now I have this taking us out of the story, and this takes them to another page in the story. So we've talked about all different ways, I think 3 different ways: words, pictures, and buttons, in order to take you to a different page in the story. We have embedded video and sound, and we've embedded interactive 360-degree pictures. What else can we do with a story and sites? Well, we love it when our students give each other peer feedback. So what if there was a way to integrate that feedback directly into the Google site? What if you created a grid on Flipgrid that would allow kids to post feedback to the story? So if I go into my Flipgrid and I go into my Educator login, I'm going to create a new grid, and I'm going to select school email domain, and let's call this grid storytelling with Google Sites. All right, I'm not going to personalize it right now. We're just going to leave it with what looks cool here. Let's get a fun background for a minute. Nature. Ah, look at that. It's perfect. It's a waterfall. All right, let's launch my grid. Oops. This is certainly not a tutorial on how to use Flipgrid. I'm going really fast. But if you know how to use Flipgrid, or you want to know how to use Flipgrid, you can definitely go to the Digital Literacy Network that the digital literacy consultants have, and there is a tutorial in there on Flipgrid. I'm going to launch my grid, all set, and I'm going to create a new topic in this grid, and my topic is going to be I'd love, or let's call it, what did you think? And that is way too long. I don't want that much feedback, but let's say please feel free to leave me your feedback on my story. I'd love to hear what you have to say. If you think there is something I can improve upon, please be specific. Do I have a tip I want to say? Remember, this feedback will be viewable to all my readers. Believe there is a limit of 64 more characters, so it's short. I'm going to display the topic right now. Video moderation. I don't want this moderated right now. Let's see, I'm making it active, never, topic resource. Sure, let's do a resource. Another video. I'm going to push record. Like I said, this isn't a tutorial on Flipgrid. Again, I think I have to point this way. Look, there I am. There I am. Okay, a couple quick tips on Flipgrid. Obviously, I haven't gone into detail. I can leave myself a sticky note of what I want to say. So I'm going to say, please leave me some feedback. I'd love to hear from you. And a pro tip that I learned from my good friend Jen Giffen is to leave this right on top of my face. so that it looks like I'm still looking at the camera. I can leave it like right at the top up here. So I'm looking at the camera, or I don't have to look at myself. And if I want options, I obviously want my audio on, turn to video, and here we go. Hey, please leave me some feedback on my story. I'd love to hear from you. Done. Next. Hey, please leave me some feedback on my story. I'd love to hear from you. Hey, next. Snap a selfie. I could also import a video if I wanted to, or I could select a frame. I've never done that before. Okay, there's my picture. I can give myself some hashtag teacher. Woohoo! And submit. Complete. So now I have a resource to go along with my Flipgrid. Don't need anything else here. Stickers and drawings, absolutely. Video reactions, video views, all this is great. I'm not going to give feedback on this. I'm just going to create the topic. Wonderful. Here is a direct link to the grid. Here's a direct link to the topic. I want to take this link. Again. All right, I would like to embed this link onto page 5 of my story. And that way, when the readers of my story are all finished, they can log in with Google and it takes them, notice I'm still inside my story. It still says page 5 right here. Here is the topic. What did you think? There are my instructions. Here's my tip. Oh, look, here's my video instructions. Hey, please leave me some feedback on my story. I'd love to hear from you. So now I'm going to leave this lovely author some feedback. I think it's blocking right now only because I'm already recording. This doesn't seem to want me to let myself record on top of my screencast. This is the first time this has happened. So I won't do this right now, but let's see, can I do it over here? There we go. Okay, so it was blocking me inside the website. I think it was just because I was already doing screencast, so I'm gonna leave myself some feedback. Hey, way to go, Kim. Love your story. Keep up the good work. And let's say that I forgot what I was supposed to do in this recording. I could press pause. I get the instructions right here. Keep going. Be done with it. Next. Hey, way to go, Kim. Love your story. Keep up the good work. And let's say that I forgot what I was, let's say this is feedback for the author. Update the title. I don't need all of this part. Let's play it again. Story, keep up the good work. And let's say that I forgot what I was supposed to. Hey, way to go. Click, and let's trim it again. Keep up the good work. And let's say, oh, don't need all that either. Hey, Kim, love your story. Keep up the good work. Great. Hey, way to go. Next, snap a selfie. And sure, I need a backpack. Ooh, a Flipgrid backpack. There we go. Submit. I did it. And now if I go back to my story, look, page 5 of my story, I, as the author, can come back and see, oh, look, somebody, there's my warning, my notification, somebody left me some feedback. So now my story is interactive on the first page with my 360-degree picture. On my second page, it's interactive with my sound file, my video, my choose your own adventure buttons, It is interactive with my picture links, which takes me out to another page, or with my text links, which take me all the way to page 5, which, once I log in again, because it does make you log in every time, it is also interactive because I can leave the author feedback. All right, so that is a very interactive story, but how are we going to share this story? So let's say our story's all written, it's all done, it's beautiful. Come up to the top here and click on the share icon, and you have to decide who is going to get to see your story. In terms of editing, you want to keep it as just yourself editing. Of course, that means you can also add in a collaborator, but you don't want to change it to anything like this because that means anybody with a link could actually get in and edit it. So you don't want that. Keep it here. If you have a collaborator or a few collaborators who are working on it together with your students, add their names in here. This is the key one, published. Right now, I am publishing the site so that anyone at York Region can find it and view it. If I want to change this so that not just anyone in York Region could find it and view it, but that specific people can view it, then I would click Change, select this bottom one, Save, and now I would type their addresses in here. So let's say I wanted my friend Jennifer Giffen and let's say Lisa Donahue. These are the two people. I don't want them editing it, but I want them to be able to view the published version. I would do that. And now those two, as you can see, have viewing rights, not editing rights. They're not my collaborators, but I want them to be able to see the published version of my story. What that means is, back on the home page, do you recall, actually I think it was on page 2, we have our sound files, our sound file and our video file. Now, back in my drive, I made it so that this file was shareable with a link. That means anybody in the district could find it and view it. Same thing with my sound file. I did the shareable with a link. If I know that the only people who are going to be viewing my story have been shared as viewers, then I don't need to make these two files viewable to anyone with the link in the board. I can change it so that just Jennifer Giffen and Lisa Donahue can view it, and then I can change this to only specific people who have access. And that means when I give those teachers, let's say, or peers, my site to view in the published version, only those two would be able to see those files, so they'd be safe and sound. And now we are at that stage where we are ready to publish, which is good because my kids are almost home. All right, here is the publish button. I can give my story any title that I want as long as it's available within our GAPS domain. And I'm calling it The Waterfall for EdTech Camp on Air. That might be too long. We'll have to see. And I can publish that. It worked, I believe, because I think it would have already told me. So now it is live. View the published site. Go to my first page of the story. And here we are. An interactive bit right there. I can even zoom in and out. If I click on that map icon, it takes me out to the actual map itself, which is kind of cool. Page 2, the journey begins. I've got my video with my on-topic dancing and my sound file. The banks were lined with poison oak. I've got my choose your own adventure, my hyperlinks to different parts of the story, and let's leave some feedback. See? And it doesn't let me because I'm recording. And everybody, thank you for watching. That is it. I hope you now see how you can use Google Sites for far more than just a website. You can use it to build an interactive story with your students. Enjoy the rest of the day.